Good for you.
And White, the attorney, on the phone right now.
Okay, great.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, what's happening?
We're now on a conference call. I'm gonna hang up and you can call me back because I was calling in for you. I can't do this music.
Yeah, alright, I'll answer the call. You're on the part. So
All right.
I don't think I need my back to you. This is not good.
I got your back, don't worry.
Yeah, it's not right. We could go over there.
Celebrate your birthday.
It's a little fun thing.
Hello?
I only have about half of those.
Okay, now we've got it.
This is for my new
What's wrong?
You still there, Sean?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Do you have an agenda? I forgot to print agendas.
Okay, we've got like 1 minute. We'll wait just a second.
It's really short.
Yeah.
Is the camera going?
Yep.
Okay, what's the date today?
Today is November.
5th?
Yes.
Today is Wednesday, November 5th at 1:30, and we are at the new office in the Black Canyon City Water Improvement Office, Lyton. Old Black Canyon Highway, Suite 4. Meeting agendas were posted at the post office, on the bulletin board outside the office, and on the website page. We are going to proceed with roll call of members and introduction of attendees. I am Elaine, I'm the board chair.
Irene Brooks, vice chair. Lynn treasurer.
Tom Strezak, secretary.
Sean, could you please state your name?
Yep, Sean Collins, member at large.
And Sean is appearing telephonically, and we have,
Natalie Gaviano with municipal accounts.
and in the owner members, we have,
Dave McMahon.
and,
Cindy Andrew.
okay,
Yeah, I'll talk Devin legal counsel.
yeah, we do, thank you. Can you enter your pen, Irene, so I can see? There you go. Okay, so we're going to look at item 3, annual report, discussion of possible ratification regarding authorizing board member Irene Brooks to coordinate the municipal accounts and consulting on signing and submitting the 2024 annual report.
I think we just need to ratify it. Devin, we just need to ratify that, correct?
Yep, I think you guys already sent that off.
Yes.
So this is just the board essentially retroactively authorizing Irene to do that.
Yeah, and to clarify, this has nothing to do with the budget. This is the 2024 annual report. Each year there's a report that gets submitted to the county. So it got missed last February with the board in transition. So it's just basically an information update submitted with the county. Nothing to do with the budget. So we got that filed last week.
So, Devin, all I need to do is ask for a vote to ratify the 2024 annual report.
Right, yep, so you'll make a motion. There'll be a second, and there'll be discussion, and then a vote.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to ratify the 2024 annual report.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Sean.
Did you make a motion?
Can I make a motion about my own?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I will make a motion to accept the annual report submitted by myself, Irene Brooks, for the 2024 year.
And Sean, you second?
And Irene,
Yep,
Irene, I'm
I'll
going to add to
second
that
it.
motion that
Sean
you are
Collins,
also
second that.
authorizing Vice Chair Irene Brooks to coordinate with municipal accounts on getting that filed.
Okay, that's included in the motion, that she's, and Sean, would you like to second that?
Yes, I'd like to second that.
Any discussion? Nope, all in favor say aye. Aye. All in favor, Sean, did you aye or nay?
Yes, I said aye, yes.
Okay, passes unanimously. And next is annual budget, item A, discussion and possible action in regarding the review, discussion and possible tentative approval of BCCWID annual budget for fiscal year 25-26. And I'm going to start the discussion with, in May, when we initially had the discussion about the 25-26 budget, the board was new. And Natalie came and spoke, and we all realized that changes, significant changes were coming to the district operationally and how we manage finances. And at that point, if we had put a budget together, it would have been irrelevant today because so much has changed. Or it wouldn't have had the relevancy that it will have today because we no longer have an office manager. We no longer have an office manager paying all the bills. We have a general manager, we have a CPA, and there's more accountability financially. My understanding is that every pump, every well has its own account number, so that when we get invoices on these matters, they're all being applied appropriately and not to just one big number. Is that correct?
I think it was in the works.
Okay.
Yeah, if Jerry starts kind of identifying individual pump items for me, we can separate them out or note them. It hasn't been to that level yet. I think just getting up and running the last few months, but it's something we can work towards if you guys want.
So, since January, in 10 months, we've had tremendous changes, and I think that these changes have been really have brought a significant improvement into how the district is going to operate financially and operationally. There is more transparency now than there ever has been, and this is something that the board will continue to ensure. Unfortunately, people make Facebook posts, and when they make a post, these posts are incomplete, they have partial information, they have inaccurate information, and they lack content, substance, and therefore are absolutely not credible. And I just want to remind people of that this board has been diligent in making sure that we stay on track, which is why we have brought onto our team so many professionals, the CPA, we have legal counsel, and we have a general manager to make sure that everything flows as it should and that there is total accountability and transparency. And so with that, let's get started on the budget. So I'll let Natalie take it over.
So I brought a couple pieces of information for the board. I know that there's been older drafts in prior reports and stuff, but I brought an updated one for today's discussion. So
I'm going to rush to Postnet to get copies of the old.
Essentially, what you guys are looking at is the proposed budget, and so it's got a couple different columns here. The left-hand side is all of your revenue and expense account names, and then we've got several columns of numbers. So the first one there is the budget that was approved for fiscal year ending June 2025. So that's the budget from the old board. The next column there is I have where your year-end numbers came at June 2025, so you can kind of see how they came in compared to the budget from last year. And then we've got two more columns kind of looking at this year's budget for discussion. The first one, original budget, I'm calling it original, that was what was in my bookkeeping report in May, that you guys looked at in May. Then I have workshop budget, which is what I kind of worked on for today. So kind of with the last 3 or 4 months of dust settling, some accounting cleanup, us coming on board, I made some changes to kind of from May to today, the differences I see. And then that final column is the delta. And so that is the difference between what I had in my May report and what I kind of have finessed for today's discussion. So it's not necessarily a good or bad delta. It's just kind of as we've kind of been on board a little bit longer and we're a couple months in, I kind of can see a little bit better of where you guys are heading. So it's just more of an educated guess than I had in May, because in May I had been on board with you guys for about 2 months, I think. So I have a little bit better. I still don't have a crystal ball. I wish I could, but I do have a little bit better of an educated guess for where we think this fiscal year is going to go. And so I kind of took the first stab at the workshop numbers. We can go through them as much detail as you guys would like, or as you guys would not like. I know not everyone likes numbers as much as I do.
It's really noisy there.
Sorry, I'll mute myself.
Okay.
But this kind of gives you guys a really good starting draft, at least. And you guys can massage, and at the end of the day, it is the board's discretion how you guys want to budget. I'm here to advise. You can take it or leave it with however much salt that you would like. But at least this guys gives you guys a starting point for discussion and somewhere to kind of jump off from.
Do you have, and if not, we should have, like what we've paid to date?
So I do have on this one, I tried to come prepared.
I mean, I have it, but.
So this
like,
one might be, this should be similar to what was in your bookkeeping report from the last meeting.
Okay.
So basically, these are your same accounts here, and it's showing your July, August, and September expenses. And so then you've got your total for your fiscal year to date. And then I just did a rough annualized 12-month estimate. That's just looking at your first quarter numbers and then kind of plotting where a year's of that activity would go. And so this kind of helped me make some of those adjustments to what I had in the workshop budget, was looking at your first quarter numbers and following those along.
So, for the county, for what we filed with the county, do we need to make sure that I know we're trying to get as close as we can for each category, but do we need to have each category accurate, or is it more important to just have the bottom line?
So budgets, our suggestion is always, you want to make them as accurate as you can, but budgets, just like in your personal life, it's just a planning tool. It's not necessarily, we're going to try and get you down to the penny or down to the dollar. This is kind of broad stroke what we think the year is going to look like and where we think you'll end up. While there is a lot of wiggle room between the categories, the big thing, especially for districts and for you guys with change and the well project and things like that, you're looking at the bottom line and making sure you're putting money into savings and not hopefully pulling money out of savings for the fiscal year. That, I think, is kind of the main intention at the board level, is just are you being able to put some money into savings, or even be pulling money out of savings to cover your operations for the year. Of course, on the bigger buckets, we want to be kind of close. If we're really far off on a large expense or a large income, then it throws you further out of whack. But on the little guys, like just pulling one out of random garbage expense, for the year I have $750 estimated. If you guys come in 100% over that, it's a $700 variance. That's not going to give me a ton of heartburn and keep you up at night. Now, if your operations water line, we've got you at $218,000. If you come 100% over that and it's $400,000, that's going to give me more heartburn and more panic. And so it's also kind of balancing the impact each line has in the overall budget and fiscal health of the district too. So we are trying to be as accurate as we can, but like I said, I wish I had a crystal ball, because then I would be the best accountant you had ever met. But I don't, and so we're just trying to give you guys a general idea of where we think, how the year's gonna look for you guys.
And I think, again, we have to keep in mind, this is the first year, and some of the changes just took place in recent months. So it's actually going to be next year's budget, I think, when we will have a much clearer idea of where to go financially, and things will look like we'll be able to look more consistent.
Yes. Yeah, because I came on board to start working with the district right around February, but even those first few months, you guys still
Right.
had Lisa doing QuickBooks and all the bill paying and all the coding. And so we've done what we can to kind of clean up, but we had to draw a line in the sand of I'm not going back 3 years to redo books. And so this is kind of now, like I said, with 3 months of us working on stuff, I can kind of get a better feel, but next year will be a much better estimated budget, a good idea, and kind of like with Jerry coming online and operating changes and district management office changes, that dust will kind of have settled by next April, May, June, when we're doing the next budget.
Question? Were you unable to access the financial information to go back, to have a history?
I have the QuickBooks file, so my team, we're not necessarily auditors, we can go through and do some cleanup, but we had some discussion with the board that the cost versus benefit of going back and cleaning up multiple years of financial records, you're probably looking at 60 hours of my team's time,
Right.
which is, but when we looked, things are categorized well enough, like they're in decent shape, it's just not perfect or kind of adjusted to our new system. But we do have your records. If you guys, send it off to auditors, we do have the QuickBook file. You guys have the reports. It's not missing. It's not a black hole.
Right.
I'm just not going to put my stamp of approval on it since it's not my work
Well,
product.
not so much looking for that, but just for that you would have access to that, to use that to project here.
Yeah,
We're
absolutely.
able to use, those numbers, those figures
Yeah,
for
yeah.
your projection here for the proposed budget.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's where those first 2 columns came from. This is last year's stuff, and so yeah, that gave us at least a starting point of kind of.
But I need to emphasize, that's just a starting point, because we have made so many changes that it's not going to look,
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's probably not going to be a 300% swing from last year to this year, but you'll see, kind of to your point, on the second page. Let's see. You guys had payroll expenses and like office management expenses, and so like that line, office management, you had about 99,000 in expenses the end of last year. This year, looking at kind of having Julie on board and what that looks like, I've got that down to 35,000. So that is a significant difference in expense there. So your districts kind of operate generally the same year to year, but with some changes in there. And so, yes, it's the numbers from last year are a good starting point, but definitely not a crystal clear picture of what this year's going to look like.
Yeah, because I think you may have noticed that legal expenses through the roof.
Yeah, the legal line, it is, I say this to all of my districts though, that is money well spent to keep you guys on track. Especially in periods of change, we have some districts who have gone through large periods of change, kind of like you guys are in right now, and your legal expenses are high for a year or a year and a half, and then it drops down to where you need Devin every 4 months, and maybe for budgets and rate hearings and more unusual items. The legal fees at this level don't give me any concern. It's not going to be this sustained high level of needing legal on board so much, but they are your number one consultant keeping you guys in line and compliance, and so.
But again, I think we can look at how we can curb those expenses, because initially we didn't know what we were dealing with because we had a number of contracts that needed to be written. And my thinking is that we were not specific enough perhaps in our request. Now we have Jerry who can at least submit rough drafts, because I think we spent a fortune on contracts, and we really need to cut back on some of these things and get more involved in the process.
So Natalie, I was looking strictly, before we jump to expenses, because the top category is revenues, so money coming in, the good stuff, right?
Yep.
So I was looking at that, and actually, I did something similar to what you did, just myself, except that I had, just so I can kind of, because I can't do 2 things.
Yeah.
So one of my columns is what we have paid to date in our fiscal year, just our current fiscal year, so from July to September. And I pulled those numbers off of the last financial report. So when I was looking at that, and kind of looking over here, I'm curious because why do you think we're gonna bring in less money than we were? Because it seems like our like the amount of revenue coming in monthly has increased, not a huge amount, but it has increased, and, you know, therefore some of the connection fees and some of the other things. So I'm just curious why you think it's gonna drop now.
So, just as the nature of my profession, I always try and be more conservative on the income and then overestimate on expenses. This
Okay.
is kind of worst look picture, and
Okay.
a little bit is part of it. The second part of it is a little bit of these year-end numbers from last year. There's a couple, I'm not gonna get into the weeds, but a couple technical accounting principles of how governments count their revenue. Not that your prior yearbooks were incorrect, but we have a better, more accurate way to count for your revenue. And so with that change in accounting principles, I don't know if the number is gonna be closer to 500 or if it's gonna be closer to 440 or 430.
Okay.
And so with a little bit of a conservative approach on that, and then also until we get a full year of your data, some districts, looking at your first quarter, July, August, September, those are your hottest months. People use more water, they're usually irrigating more, so as we go into the winter season, I'm expecting to see some of your water revenue drop.
Okay.
And especially, I don't know your community well enough, if you have snowbirds that leave in the winter, we have a lot of communities that have their population, so that will also have your water revenue go down over the next 4 to 6 months. And so kind of if I had taken this year's revenue and just thought it was going to be the same as summer all year round, then we might have been a little bit higher. But until I know more of that nuance in your guys' water use and resident population, I gave it a little bit more of a conservative approach.
That makes total sense. Thank you for the
Yes.
explanation, because yeah, I'm like, hey, why are we dropping? Okay, all right. So I don't think I have any other, actually,
And some of these little changes too, I'll just kind of address some of those, especially in the revenue. A lot of that's just coding. It might be plus this line minus another line. So some of that is just us knowing your system and the reports we get from your billing software and stuff, and learning how to code some of those smaller things. And so that's where you might see some of these little changes in and out of the certain coding lines. Is just the information we're able to get from your billing reports and your billing software and how it kind of codes accounting wise. So
okay, yeah, because I had the question of like, what category are like the meter installation fees, application fees, impact development fees, because up until this point in time, it was showing like zero income in those areas, but they're being put in other categories, at least right now, until we get it all.
yeah, and for meter installation and application, unless it's been misinformation, I don't think you guys are installing very many brand new meters for brand new customers. So that's always kind of a shot in the dark. Do we think maybe you'll get one new connection or two this year? Sure, maybe. You might end up getting $20,000 worth of new connections if Arizona population keeps booming, but I don't want to rely on 20,000, so I put a very low 2,000. Maybe we'll get a little bit of money in for that. If not, we'll still be able to pay our bills.
I think it's wise to be conservative until we see
Yep.
how things are going to be moving forward, because we still have a lot of changes coming.
Yeah. And budgeting, a lot of accounting, 1 + 1 is 2. It is very black and white. Budgeting is not. It's very gray. It's a prediction. It's an estimate. It's making our best shot at what's going to happen for you guys.
So I guess, are we looking at like, I know we're not voting on a specific area, but is everybody good with the revenue piece? Of what she's got in the revenues?
I think so.
I think Sean said he is. I am. You working on
Yes,
expenses?
yeah.
Okay. So, expenses.
Yeah, the expenses, the fun part. So in expenses, it's Some of these you have control over, some of them you have no control over. Your APS bill, you have zero control how much the electricity is gonna cost you. You know, rent, you have minimal control. I mean, different rent, different. So some of this too, look at it through the lens of, you know, some of it is just the costs of operating and there's not much moving around on that. And then others, kind of like maintenance and repair, that's always, you might have no lines break this year and you only spend 20,000, or you might have a catastrophic line break and it might be 100,000. And so a lot of that is age of infrastructure, preventative repairs in the past, and kind of a little bit of that is we're gonna budget for repairs. Some of that is completely unknown.
I think it's important to remember also that we're going to have arsenic media replacement fees, and that's going to be pretty costly. Jerry has obtained 3 bids for that, but it is pretty expensive. So where you said that we can't always plan, we don't know exactly how much that's going to add to that category.
Yeah.
But it will add some.
Yeah, and having Jerry and, you know, and an engineer, the next year or two, a lot of times they build out what's called a capital improvement plan, where they know pumps last 8 years. And if your pumps are all 8, 9, and 10 years, they're gonna tell me, start budgeting for pumps or things like that. And so having those couple people on board will help future budgets also kind of do predictive maintenance, is what they call that. We think the pump is gonna need to be replaced. We think half your meters are over 1 million gallons and need to be replaced. And so we can start building that into future budgets. And then if we get good information like that, our team, sometimes we recommend, especially if you're looking at cash financing, doing a 5 or 10 year cash flow. If you know you're gonna have $100,000 repair on one of your wells, the engineer thinks it's gonna have, you know, in 5 years or something, we can start plugging that in and planning to make savings so that we can afford it when we get there. So that's steps down the road, but that's something to kind of, as you guys start looking at the budgeting process and you're having these ideas like, oh yeah, arsenic's gonna cost money and maybe we're gonna need a new pump, we can kind of start planning and helping you guys mitigate those bigger expenses too. Some of it's unknown and gonna be a surprise, but if it's not a surprise, let's plan for it.
Well, I think RCAC is going to be a great help with all of that, because they are going to provide an assessment of the district and how much they think it's going to cost to bring things up to par. And their work is not going to cost us anything, as we know that all of our arsenic tanks are going to need to be replaced soon, and that's going to be several $1 million. And I know that we spent quite a bit of money on a couple of repairs on wells like Oasis. That was pretty expensive, and I don't see that really reflected in here, but my understanding is that once you and Jerry are able to get everything together, that we'll have a much better idea of what each well or each asset is costing to maintain, which will be very helpful. So it's unfortunate that we don't have that now, but I'm confident that we're going to have it for the next budget.
Natalie, what goes into utilities dash water? Because I came up with the same budget number, but just working math, but I don't even know what goes in there.
So that, I think, is just your APS.
The 16110?
Yeah, those are your APS bills. So I don't think you guys have any gas connections, and garbage has its own line, so I believe that that's just APS in there.
And also on internet office, $500 is going to be pretty low, because I know that we're having office security put in here, we're having IT cables run through here.
Okay.
And we've accepted quotes on that, but that's going to really bring that $500 amount up.
So internet office, I generally look at that as just your internet utility bill, running cabling, and then you like computer
Running the table.
pieces. I would put that more under like computer software and supplies, 16743. The internet is typically, we use that as just your utility internet.
Like the monthly
Yeah, or
charge?
Cable One or
Oh, okay.
Sparklight or that kind of, yeah.
So that number looks a little more realistic.
So computer software, what do you have there?
I had, back in May, I had 10,000. I didn't know what you guys were kind of looking at, so I put it to 5 for today's discussion, but of course we can
It'll be double,
adjust, you want to
Yeah.
go back to 10?
at least double that.
Yeah, it's gonna be about 5,000 or a little bit more with tax to put the cable in this office. And then I don't know if I had down here like, if we have to update licenses or anything on like Enhance or anything.
I think
like that.
Enhance is yearly, and that comes after the first of the year.
So that would
Yes.
fall into the computer software category,
Yeah.
right? So we may need a little bit more than 10, I would think.
That is entirely possible. And we have to remember that Theo said for the IT installation, now for the security, that was a firm quote, but for the IT installation, that was a high quote. It
Maximum,
could be
yeah.
less, depending on, so,
But you said double the 5, so take it
At
back to the
least,
10.
yeah.
And then we do have
Or more.
16,803 for security services. I had put 2,000 in there just as a, I think that 1883 from last year was that ADT invoice that you said wasn't accurate, but I left a placeholder for security subscription.
that
or
wasn't
something.
even in the district's name. That was not our
Yeah.
responsibility. so-
Yeah, but I had still just left that
Right.
placeholder there for security services as well.
And you have security services.
I just put a 2,000 in there just kind of as a,
Okay, so we're having security installed here though, and that's going to be just close to 10,000.
Okay.
So that would go into that same category,
Yep.
right? Yeah, because I had that one, I was looking at maybe like say, I don't know,
And records,
15.
I'm sorry, do that one. Record storage fee? Oh, I see. No, next line. That's Jerry. Merchant.
So security, were you taking to 15 or 12?
so I put 10 for computer software and supplies and then 10 for security services. So 20,000 across the two.
Can we go back to maintenance and repairs facilities?
Okay, this is,
Oh,
we
I'm
probably
sorry.
need to go a little bit higher on the
Yeah.
security.
You want 12, 15? I mean, you tell me, this is.
Okay. So I had worked up 15.
Okay.
We just approved a bunch of that, right?
Yeah. And it's gonna get paid for during this budget period.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, Tom.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so
I'm
maybe-
sure she was looking at me kind of like, go ahead, but there's a
Maybe-
lot for you. Everybody,
That's all right.
I know, it's-
Maintenance and repair facilities, yeah.
So, the previous budget, it says 2025, is that like fiscal year 24?
The
It's
2020
2025 budget, but anyhow, it's the previous budget.
Yeah, that's the
Okay,
budget that ended June
Ended-
2025.
Okay,
Yeah.
yes. Ended this recent June, and there was 0.
Correct, so.
That's what they had?
Yeah, and you'll have to remember, so the budget from last year was the prior board and their
Right.
prior
And-
accounting numbers.
Yeah.
They didn't have a separate line for facilities. It was getting lumped in, anything that happened at that office, they were putting it
Oh,
somewhere else.
I see, that's why
So-
that's
So
0.
a lot
I
of
see,
these
that's-
0 lines are me trying to break things out
I see.
further for you guys and
Right.
kind of separate them out. Yeah, so that's why they probably had 0 there.
Okay, thanks, that makes a lot of sense.
Because I think their budget had, I mean, maybe 15 expense lines, and I've probably got you guys at 35 or 40. And so you'll notice a lot of these with 0s. It's because I'm adding them for better classification for you guys.
And that's going to give us a much better idea of what the expenses really are. Everything's not going to be lumped into one category. It's going to be, and we're going to develop, we'll have more lines
Yeah.
soon, which will be even better once we get things
Yeah, so the maintenance and repair facilities, that one I kind of envision, that's pretty much anything you guys have to do to this office space to kind of, so I mean, moving into a new space, you were gonna have more maintenance, repairs, furniture, things like that. I wouldn't expect that to stay 5,000 year over year, because then you're just doing little things as they come up. But I knew this year in transition, you guys would have more facility expense.
I think maybe that needs to go to 8,000 because we approved 5,000 to get furniture and stuff. The sink was about 800 and something. I don't know.
Oh, with labor, it was 1,500.
And that included the blinds. So I think we need to raise that amount.
8,000 for facility,
I think that, what do you think, Irene?
8,500?
Let's see. These facilities. Oh yeah, I said, can we put sink here? Yeah, probably 8, what should be 8? 5, 6, 7, what'd you say, 8,500?
She said 885. What do we think?
Well, we should be conservative, right, and do 8,500?
Yeah. It's not,
If we don't spend it,
then we're good.
Yeah. So, legal fees, we agreed, well, my math, I'm without all the other accounting knowledge, but on the legal fees, Elaine, this is what I was thinking, okay, and I'm, so we've spent just in this fiscal year, 40,000, almost 41.
More than that.
No, just the 3 months that.
3 months.
This fiscal year.
Oh, just the 3 months.
July, September.
Okay, all right,
July,
all right.
September. Okay.
Seems like
so
we've spent more than that though.
that we did before.
You're at 41,000.
Okay.
And so
For 3
then
months.
we said, we're kind of looking at, because we still have a lot of stuff to do.
Right.
So we're kind of looking at 10,000. We asked them to try to keep it to 10,000 max a month. So if
Right.
we took that as a high number with 9 more months.
But we have Wet's contract, and I don't know if I want to see what the bill's going to be for that, because it's going to be, I'm sure, over the 10,000. But I did ask them to cap it at 10,000 a month to let us know when it's over that, because getting bills for $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, it's when it takes your breath away, that's got to stop.
So I don't want anybody to fall to the floor when I say this number, but if we say 10,000 average a month for the next 9 months, because that's how much more we have in this year, plus the 41, we're at 131. Not enough?
I don't know. Again, I don't know what these contracts have typically run a lot. And I don't know what Wet's contract is going to be. And then we're going to have another contract for the new temporary, and then for the permanent. And so
150?
So I had you guys, just a very rough projection, if the rest of the year kept on pace with your current 3 months, that puts you guys at the year for 162,000.
oh my
So if
gosh,
you're-
that makes me want to choke.
But that, I mean, like I said, money well spent for a lot of things, but.
We have to
so
put it in
at-
there though.
So
I
if
know.
you're throwing around 130, 150, I mean, that's still slower pace than you guys have been on for the year, but probably a good estimate for a few of the high contracts that you guys have going. I had put it, my rough ball had put 90 just because knowing you were at 40 already and then kind of slowing down maybe on all the changes. But I would say anywhere between that 90 to 160 is probably.
I would do 150 as much as hard
I
as
know.
Would it be helpful?
Devin's trying to speak, Tom.
Oh.
Go ahead, Devin.
Oh,
Yeah, I just wanted to comment there. I think our expectation and hope is that that number starts to come down on a monthly basis. I think we're already sort of hitting that, the $10,000 per month number, but again, I see that falling further. But that's our expectation and our hope, but obviously certain things may change.
Tom, you had a thought?
would it be helpful to have a breakdown of what legal fees are spent for contracts?
I've already
As
asked for
opposed
that
to-
breakdown, Tom, Dave, or, I'm sorry,
As opposed
would
to-
you like to speak to that, Devin?
Yeah, I believe we provided that to you, is that correct, or are you still waiting on another breakdown from us?
The numbers, yeah, we got that. I
We've
didn't bring
got it,
with
I
me.
asked Irene to look at it because I've been busy taking care of.
I didn't bring it with me.
Other
So we got that
essentials.
unbeknownst to the treasurer.
No, Bill broke it down, the office broke it down.
Are
and
you
sent
aware
it.
of that?
And Irene
You did
can
not
forward
get
that?
Yeah,
She got it?
yeah.
Okay.
So realistically, if our regular work with them starts to drop a little, you know, if it didn't, we'd be looking at 160. If it does, then maybe a little bit less, but we already know we have some significant contracts coming up. I personally would not go lower than 125, would feel probably a little bit better if it was 135. Nobody wants to spend that kind of money on legal expenses, maybe we won't, but if we don't put it in here,
Right.
if we don't put it, it's like if you don't have it in your budget, then you don't have the money to pay for it.
Right, then you have to come back and vote to and raise the amount in the budget for that.
So they had $12,000 in the budget for last fiscal year. And I think they spent about 100,000 maybe.
Yeah.
So, but they didn't vote on, nothing got voted, or it just kind of just overspend. Easy come, easy go.
Yeah, so,
Kind of concerning,
yeah,
you
and
know.
you have some wiggle room between the individual expense categories. They did overspend their budget in total. Normally you want to kind of keep
No,
to
we
that,
did
but
as well.
yeah, but
I came into it.
yeah, it's a planning tool. Like you're not going to hit it on target, but I think it's the better look to
So it's not true
overplan.
that you have to vote to approve the overspending, or like an override, school has an override, but we just kind of spend over, I'm not sure even where the money came from to pay for that, because it wasn't in the general fund.
Yeah, so and Devin can correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand for like school districts, you guys don't have to approve individual changes to each line if you go over your initial budget.
Okay.
And Devin, like I said, feel free to jump in if I'm misspeaking at all, but a lot of times too.
Yeah, that's my understanding as well, Natalie.
Okay, thank you.
And last year, if you look at the budget from last year, it's all timing too of income and expenses. You guys had all the WIFL loan well expenses, but hadn't gotten the WIFL loan money in.
Right.
And so those two, it's going to skew last year and this year. This year it's going to look like you made a lot of money because you got WIFL loan in, but the expenses were last year. And so you guys had the money to pay for legal. You had it in either because other expense lines came in lower and under budget, so you used that budget to cover legal.
So
Or this
the money came from, say, capital improvements to pay for legal fees, or it got,
not even necessarily.
it maybe got transferred into another,
Yeah.
the general fund then to pay for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
possibly, or
Just to-
like auditing fees, they had
Trying to
10,000.
understand
Yeah,
how this works.
yeah, auditing fees, they had $10,000 budgeted and zero expense. So that got used somewhere else. And so you can kind of feed from other lines as well, but
Yeah.
it might have come from capital projects, it might have just come in your operating reserve. You usually have a couple $100,000, you have a savings, and so you basically used your savings. You spent more than you made last year, but this year we're looking that you're going to make more than you spend, and so across the 2 years you're kind of balancing out.
I'd like to clarify, Natalie, that, and we had talked about this before, the old board really didn't have detailed accountability of the capital improvement funds. It was oftentimes money from capital improvements went into the general fund, and there was no real explanation for it, and that was before this board came on.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really speak to what.
Right, but
But
now that the new board has been on,
we have not been having to move anything from capital projects.
Correct.
There was that crunch when we were waiting for WIFA money.
right,
But you've gotten your WIFA money since, and so we have not had to continue that pattern of pulling from capital projects. I can't speak for anything
Right.
before February, but that is not, you guys are covering your expenses month to month from your water bill collections and your operating and maintenance.
Right, so funds can be juggled around, and capital improvement funds can be used to, they can be transferred to the other account, the general fund, to pay the attorney fees. But they can't pay the attorney fees directly because the attorney fees are not capital improvements.
So your
You know.
your capital project fund, you're still collecting those from your monthly water bills. Those are people contributing to, the district's gonna have large capital repairs. That's essentially what that money is being for. It's building your savings for if you guys are gonna have large expenses. Which last year, you spent $250,000 on a well. You had a large expense. And so using that money for that's not inappropriate. Those money coming from your capital project bill is still technically operation and maintenance money. As a board, you guys have said, let's stick it in a special savings account so that we have a rainy day fund for large expenses. It's not, as a board, you can still just use that funds for any legal expense of the district. You guys have it's kind of like saving for Christmas. I put $200 a month into a separate savings account that I'm gonna use for Christmas, personally. But my car needs new tires, I'm broke, I pull it out of my Christmas savings because I can make that. So it's kind of like you've earmarked it for large expenses or unplanned in a rainy savings day, but it's still just general operating money that you guys can use for anything the district needs.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks, because, I'm aware of a complaint that was filed against the old board for using funds from the capital improvement fund to pay for attorney fees.
Yeah.
And again, I think that statement is made without clarity. The fact is, the
What
old board,
happened?
the statement was made without
You made
clarity,
it.
and
What happened? Let's hear.
this is Robert's rules.
Let's hear.
Okay. The old board said that the money going into capital improvement funds, and it was written in the meeting minutes, would only be used for capital improvements. That was a statement the old board made, and that was a commitment that the old board made regarding capital improvement funds. That was not a statement the new board made. So the old board had a different perspective on that, and this board, we have an accountant to bring clarity to those things, Tom. So you have to compare apples to apples and not apples to oranges.
Okay. Because, I'm just confused as to the legality of taking funds from the capital improvements fund.
And that we have, I think we have really tried to explain that.
Okay.
But do you have any more questions on that we can address?
No, that'll bring clarity to the
Great.
public.
I just want to make sure
So that's
that you
appreciated.
understand it and we won't have any
No,
more
that's appreciated.
Facebook posts.
And I think it's a fair statement that it's perfectly legal to use the capital projects fund. I would say, if the board's saying we're charging you this money to help pay for capital projects, it's good practice then to save it as a rainy day fund for
Best
capital
practices,
projects.
maybe? Or,
Maybe not even best practice, but it is, you don't want to say I'm saving for Christmas, but you know that you're just going to use it to buy tires every year.
Right.
And so I think if you have the intention of using it for capital projects, but you are legally allowed to use it for anything the district needs. And so you guys have continued billing the capital projects money every month on your water bills, and that money goes into the capital projects, and we are saving that money now. Did we need to pull that money out last year for savings? Yeah, but we're allowed to do that, and now we're gonna go back to, hopefully we're using it for savings and for capital projects. So it's not a legality, I think it's just, the prior board might have had the intention of never having to use it except for construction and projects, but the end of the matter was they needed the money. They had to pull money out of their savings to cover expenses, and that it was the proper response instead of not paying district expenses and bills. You can't leave,
And just because we budget, like say for the legal expenses, just because we budget for, I'm gonna go 135,000 doesn't mean that's not the okay to spend that much money. We still have to look at each one of those bills. We still have to make sure that we are paying attention to what we are using the attorneys for.
Well,
So, wouldn't it be great to put 135 in there and then only spend?
you would hope
the
to
90?
spend less.
Absolutely,
Always.
yeah.
And initially, when the new board took over for the old board, there were so many questions. There were so many questionable things that needed to be looked at. There were so many practices that needed to be changed. And that required an immense amount of time from the attorneys. But I think, again, I'm going to emphasize, we have a CPA, we have a general manager, and we have attorneys on board and on this team that we actively engage with to make sure that we are transparent and that we disclose whatever it is that's going on. No one is trying to sneak around and do dirty deeds or trying to thwart the goal of the district, which is for accountability and improvement. So there's no snake in the grass here.
Right on. And so, I guess to my point a little earlier about a breakdown of legal fees, how they're being spent. So do you know about how much they were for contracts? Maybe you have that information?
Again, Irene's going to send you the email from
But we
Bill.
can't have it public? Or is that what we're trying to not have that public? Or that's
No,
probably
because she didn't realize that you didn't get the email. Everybody got the email, and Irene can forward it to you if you'd like to look at it. That's no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to know how much has been spent on meetings, because most boards that I'm aware of, and like the fire board in town, and Jerry Kozlik was on that board, but they don't have an attorney present at every meeting.
And they
we
aren't
have a lot
facing
of
the
meetings.
same scrutiny that we're facing
And-
with Facebook posts that are
It's all about Facebook?
unsubstantiated.
Is it all about
That
Facebook?
we have
'Cause I can show you
contracts
some of their
that
Facebook posts.
we have contracts
that
that
are really-
need, Tom, excuse me. We
Okay.
have contracts that needed to be modified.
That's justified.
We have had a lot of activity, and to
Right.
make sure that this board stays on track, we will continue to have an attorney present at every meeting. It's telephonically.
Thank you for making that statement clear.
But we are going to continue with that
And
practice
for how
because
long,
it's in
you
the
know,
best
or-
interest of the board.
Okay.
Until we feel that we are in a position that we don't need to have an attorney present at every meeting. But right now, I
So
think
you-
it's in everyone's best interest.
Right, but that's your decision. So it's not we, it's you.
Devin, would you like to address this, please?
Sure. Yeah, no. So I think I really just echo Natalie's comments before, which is you guys are a new board. We were doing, we only work on what we're told to work on, and that was quite a long list at the start, but that's sort of petering off. And like Natalie said, maybe you guys get to a point in the next, however many months where you don't need us at every meeting, and we're just coming, once a quarter or when you need us, and great. But I think Elaine's position at this point is we're just not there yet. So again, we're on standby and at these meetings, ready to help us needed.
Right.
And I will say from not the attorney, but from seeing districts across multiple states and across different, my accounting position is legal fees are probably the second most important line in your budget outside of the person who keeps the water running for your customers. So your operations and maintenance, boots on the ground, you have to keep water running. That's your legal obligation. Legal, honestly, I think they're more important to have in the room than me. It is my true opinion. They are your compliance. They keep you guys on board. And as board members, you guys aren't paid, but you carry liability for your positions. And they're here to protect you as the district and as board members as well. And so to your point, there are districts that choose not to have attorneys present at every meeting. Personally, I think that's crazy. If I was on the board, I would want legal advice there. And the hard thing is, by not having legal in the room or at the table, then you start looking to Elaine or Irene, or even some of my districts look to me for questions of, can I do this under the agenda? How does this look in the minutes? Can I say this, or can we make this motion? And you're putting other people in the position of having to act as the legal guidance for you guys are a government legal entity. It is very legal what you guys do every single meeting. And honestly, if you get in trouble, your attorney fees are going to double for fighting a lawsuit. So
And I think we need to remember also,
it is a little bit of preventative.
Okay, so we're looking at a future of,
And Devin, and I agree, you might not need legal at every meeting, but this is legal fees, love it or not, they're always the hot button line item on all of the budgets, because they're usually high, and it seems you don't need them until you need them, and when you need them, you're really gonna wish you had them.
Yeah, and it's just because, I mean, as far as the
And,
budget goes,
I'd also just note anecdotally, most of our clients, the vast majority, were at every meeting. There are some who pick and choose, but I'd say the vast majority like us at every meeting for the exact reasons Natalie mentioned. So again, just speaking anecdotally, but hopefully that helps.
And I think we need to remember that before we were on the board, we were looking at the old board and asking for accountability. And we weren't aware of all of the statutes and regulations, but there were some things that we just instinctively knew were wrong. And we filed complaints, and we brought this to the attention of regulatory agencies. And so we know that we did that, and other people could be viewing us in the same way. And so the safeguard is, wait, Tom, this is Robert's rules. Tom? People could be viewing us in the same way, and so we want to make sure that we protect the board, who are a member of volunteers, and that we protect the district, so that everything is done without any possibility of it being stated that we are not transparent and that we're doing things that are inappropriate. Tom?
yes, thank you. Point of clarification. We did not file complaints.
We're not going to go there. That's not on the
Point of
agenda.
clarification. You filed complaints.
Again, Tom, do we need to take a recess until this is...
A timeout, teacher? No, I don't think so.
Okay, then let's get back on to the budget.
So legal fees, general consensus, I have 135. Does that feel realistic?
Yeah.
I mean, it might not feel good, but does it feel realistic or?
You want to go more?
Sustainable?
She said,
It's questionable.
she said that,
Yeah.
up to like 160, 90 to
Whoa.
160. So, no, you're good with
Well,
135?
I'm not even, honestly, I don't see it as being sustainable, since I don't see here for maintenance and repairs water, 50,000 or something? And we're looking at an arsenic system that may go 8 million.
Yeah, but-
And that's all the outlet that's life, and we're in trouble.
Yeah,
We're in trouble.
yeah.
We'll have to look for money, don't you think?
Well, we were hoping that, that was kind of going to be in the works.
Because that's not going to come in through just our
Correct.
water collections.
That's,
Yeah, so if you're looking
but
at.
still, I mean, even just to be saving for things, arsenic media sinking fund,
Yeah,
but, rates, we're looking at some big expenses here, just to add this, kind of to that.
yeah, and not to be the bearer of bad news, but
Devil's in the details, I guess.
if you have something that pops up for 8 million, I hate to tell you, it's not gonna come out of your normal budget. It's
Well,
gonna be your
no, but
loans.
this is 8 million in the near future, and to replace the system would even be 8 million, but we would like to think we could do this tank blows.
Right,
Okay, that's gonna be, a pretty big expense. And
And I can give you a
it's
little
not all
bit.
gonna happen at once.
Right, yeah. I can give you a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. We worked with a district in Prescott with Bill and his team. We started working with them 5 or 6 years ago, and I came on board. They had nothing in savings. They were facing a $3.5 million water line replacement project that we worked and got a WIFA loan from. And since we're about 5 years into working with them now, we now have them at 2.5 years worth of reserves. They're making their WIFA loan payments. They're saving money. They're paying for $300,000 to $400,000 of repairs each year out of budget. So, to your point, it's scary, but it's not, we're not going to fix it year one.
No.
We're going to work on slowly fixing it, which is your exact point of watching expenses this year to build that pattern.
Right.
But
would you think 50,000 is a little bit low on that end of things?
I mean, it's very possible. So last year, maintenance and repair, you guys had 58,000. I was just looking at, so far this year, you guys have only spent 7,000.
Yeah.
So my projection for the year at the same rate was 27,000. And so in my accounting brain, 40 was almost double on the same pace of this year. Not knowing the detail, you guys are much more in the boots on the ground detail every day. You know more of what's likely to come up.
Well,
This is my behind the books number, but if you
Right.
want that to be
It's
60,
Tom, would
It's
you
all
please
right,
let
yeah.
Natalie, Tom, please, let Natalie
We're
finish
discussing
before you.
this, or not.
No, this is a board meeting, please finish,
You're
and then
very
Tom.
unreasonable. You're very unreasonable.
This, do we need to take a
Really?
break?
no, I'm fine. But yeah, the 40,000 was my guess looking at the trend from 3 months. But again, kind of like legal
But
said,
to consider the new trend of the fact that our arsenic system has just outdated itself life-wise. It's past its 20-year life expectancy. Last year, it wasn't there yet. Years before, it wasn't there yet, but now you're there. Not to say it's all gonna happen at once, but things start happening. That's why I would like to see a lot more for the actual maintenance and repairs.
We don't know where the money's
That's all
gonna
I'm
come from,
saying.
and it could come from grants, and the arsenic system didn't just reach this state, this condition it's in this year. The old board talked about the arsenic tanks and how they needed to be replaced, and that's been a conversation that's been happening since before we came on the board, so this is not a new topic. And a lot of money, we know, is going to have to come from other sources, grants, et
So
cetera.
you feel that it should just, maintenance and repair should just be about 50,000 or so, 40, whatever you have for
I mean that
workshop, 40,000.
that is just as much. Yeah, your guys' low end. I have you at 30,000. If you guys think. You guys know that you've kind of known if you think things are breaking more often and you want 60,
The system is constantly getting
70.
older and it's
Yeah.
in really bad repair.
Oh, yeah.
It's been neglected for 20-some years, so.
Do we have some bids? Do we know? Because like, I don't have a clue. So, I mean, I know that we can't put 8 million in there.
Of course. It's-
But like, do you have an idea of like, well, like, what are you thinking we should consider to increase that
I
amount?
think it should maybe be at least equal to legal fees. I mean, 100, plus. But, that's just as the infrastructure continues to age and crumble. And,
But this is-
We've only spent 7,000 though in the last 3 months. What, I
We had-
mean, I don't know what we
Maybe we
spent
had
it
pretty
on,
lucky
but
3 months, I guess, but.
I think 40 is probably a little low. I would, last year was 58,000. I think 60 might be a very kind of comfortable number, 75,000 maybe. Because this line's not this isn't necessarily gonna create savings for the future by over budgeting here. You're gonna create your savings from just watching expenses for the year. But I think, yeah, anywhere at 60 to 75 might be a realistic, if you had a big line break. 40,000, you're right, it's probably gonna go kind of quick. I only know as much as the numbers tell me, that's why I'm here for the people information. So if you guys like 60 or 75 or 80, I mean, we can certainly bump that up. That is your most wild card line item, is maintenance and repair, because it's old, you don't know what's gonna break.
Right, and I mean, and we're getting into like a whole new, operations management, and so there's a lot of unknowns, but it's not likely gonna get less expensive moving forward. I mean,
Yeah.
the hope and the idea, the hope was that, that a new contract and, new management field operations management might actually, we may be overpaying on that, and we may actually save a little bit there. But as far as the system itself,
Which is a great point there too. If you've got new eyes on the system, they might have a whole list of things that have been kind of put on the back burner. They might be like, you really do need to rerun this line or fix this valve or replace this fire hydrant. So to your point, new eyes on the system,
Yeah.
you might have a burst of catch-up, kind of like with legal and accounting, you had a burst of catch-up expenses.
But I think it's also important to remember that RCAC is working on that. And Lisa with Rural Water, she put together an entire photo journal of all of the assets and the condition that they were in. So this is one of the items, as you said before, that you don't know. It's a guess. And in the future, we'll be able to tell and we'll get a better idea of what that line item should look like. Right now, there are still a lot of questions and unknowns, so it's still gonna be a guess, but we can make the guess higher if that would make some feel better.
Yeah, like year over year, even having RCAC's information, you never know, someone's gonna jackhammer and hit a line, a valve's gonna go out, a fire hydrant's gonna explode, a pump's gonna break, something's gonna happen. It is, even with all your planning, it is your wild card line. You really
Right.
have no clue. So I think, yeah, 60 to 75, I would say probably somewhere in there. New people coming in and working on things, catch up. If you have one big line break, that's probably a very...
I'm okay with 75.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, what do you think, Tom? Is that better?
It's better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
Yeah, no, good point.
Yeah, which is where, you don't need me at every board meeting, but for ones like this where there's a lot the numbers tell me, and then there's a lot that you guys know that I don't know.
Right.
And you guys have half the crystal ball, I have to fit it in with my half.
See, I wanted to ask you about general management fees. Is that Jerry? Is that, okay, then where did it go?
Yeah, so that one was a little bit of that one, we really don't have any clue what that's gonna look like for the fiscal year. He had thought a lot of his stuff would fall under WIPA. It's seeming that not as much is falling under WIPA because now he's doing bill review and some truly general maintenance, general operator. And so when I looked at the last few months, kind of taking that across the year, I think I bumped him up to 23,000. Sorry. No, that's okay. Again, that's a factor of how much you guys use him, and that is a shot in the dark for the year. I really.
Well, so our contract with him is for 30 for
Okay.
the year, plus additional work that he does, and we've been asking him to do quite a bit of additional work. So I looked at it from the standpoint of 30 kind of being the base for the year, and then I put it up to 50.
And that's probably going to be an accurate statement because he has had to take over doing a lot of the things that WET was not doing that was under their contract. So when Jerry has to do work that is intended for WET's contract, we do get charged for that. And there have been a few instances of that, and there will be more.
So would you guys be okay with 50 for Jerry, knowing that the contract's 30? But if you look at his billing, he's been doing quite a bit of it.
Yeah, he has.
so the contract it could be 30, I think it was 35,000 for over,
Was it?
yeah, I think it was.
So I know then anything over that
Well, I
is,
mean, there's it's per month, so, but the monthly thing is he could go over 500 as far as traveling and expenses or.
what's
such.
2,500 a month times 12? That's what it is. I know, I can't go to my calculator.
I was gonna say,
Accounting.
25,000.
fingers aren't working. 2,500 times.
I think it's 30,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
so that's it. It's
Right,
30.
and then 500 a month is the overage it could be.
Travel, or it's $81 an hour for anything
And then
over.
anything has to be approved thereafter. Right.
Yeah.
So 500 a month times 12.
Yeah, so the 2,500, plus the 500 is 36,000, and then plus hourly extras, so, you want 45, 50? I know Irene said 50.
It doesn't, 45, 50 doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And it's not a marriage, I guess, the contract, and, we'll just see how things work out on that.
So did we go to 45? Is that what we're doing?
Where are we at now? I mean, which one are you looking at?
There is on the
Which,
general management fees.
what page is this?
Second page.
Oh.
It's, account number 16734, it's like 5 from the top.
Oh, there, that helps, yeah, that helps locate it. Okay, right. Where we're at now. This seems good. There it is.
At what number, Tom?
5,000. I mean, that's where it is, right? Original, oh no, that's original, so you moved over to,
23,
What was it?
but I wasn't aware that his contract's 30,000 plus the, so we were looking at maybe 45.
Oh, that was a
or-
bump up, yeah, boy, that was
Yeah.
a big old bump up, yeah, because I mean,
Cause he hadn't come
the
on
original
board
is,
when we did the original budget, Jerry hadn't
Right.
come on board yet,
Right.
so.
but, I mean, that's for the year you have it at. So,
I'll plug 50 in, I'll kind of see, all the changes, how that looks at the bottom line. If the bottom line's looking a little thin, I'll do 45, but, let's start with 50, because we know he's been doing some extra stuff.
So then office management expense, that's gonna be whatever we had paid Lisa during these last 3 months, plus Julie's, pay goes in there, okay.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Right, because Jerry paid her for the first 90 days, or, I don't know, 30 days or something
30,
that she was here.
something
I
like that.
don't remember.
Which is somewhere we're hoping to save some money, right?
Yes, I think so.
That was part of the plan.
Yeah, because office management, that was almost 100,000 for you guys last year. Yeah.
So that was,
It'll come in,
I was hoping gonna save a substantial amount there,
yeah,
and it looks like that could work out.
yeah.
What are the bank merchant service fees? Are those is that the debit and credit fees?
The bank service charges.
Yeah, 16738.
Yeah, that's the merchant fees, and then that's the BMO just service account
Okay.
fee. They have a monthly fee on you
Yeah.
guys.
And we do, that was another thing that we had talked about before, we need to change banks. And one that we don't pay that service fee, and one where not every board member has to go to get another board member signed on. And I think now might be a good time to,
Yeah, things, I asked you to pause and let us settle a little bit. I
Right.
think we've kind of settled, so, if you guys were looking for a new bank, it'll just be making sure, Julie's set up for whatever she needs on her end of it.
Right.
But, if you guys switch banks, we might save some there too on the.
right, exactly. We should not have to be paying so much in merchant fees.
Be nice to get some interest on our money that sits in the account and,
We do.
Yeah, we've got, I'm thinking you guys will get about, you don't get any interest on BMO, which is very typical but the money is only in BMO for a month, and then it gets transferred to the
I
county.
mean, it's kind of like a receiver account, right? And it just
Yeah,
kind of-
and then you guys are getting 4% from the county, and
Right, which is
so,
decent, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
so you guys have about 14,000 a year in interest coming in,
Yeah.
so.
right. But yeah, I mean, BMO may not be a great deal for us really. There's probably there's good competition out there, right? There's probably some
I'm
good-
sure you
Some
guys,
good options for us,
yeah,
alternatives.
yeah, I think
Now, we
she's,
live near Anthem. I mean, I don't know that the branch has to be particularly close, but that's up the hill and Mayor and.
Right.
I mean, Anthem's right here, 15 miles, and there's plenty of towns there. So.
yeah, I think especially
Maybe.
for that account where you're doing the water deposits, you want to branch
Yeah.
local and or
Right.
something, just in case something happens, that way you can run to the bank if you need to.
Right,
Yeah.
so Anthem might be better, with a lot of options there. I think,
Yeah.
I think there'd be a few. Yeah, awesome.
Devin, Elaine stepped out of the room, for a minute, but
So we just
I think you
all-
told us that what we're looking at today is trying to get an agreement for kind of tentatively what we've laid out with Natalie now. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right, Irene. So the board would move, assuming there's no further questions, to tentatively approve the budget as presented by Natalie and as modified by your guys' discussion, and to proceed with the required public notice, which is the next step.
Is that the motion that we need to make?
Yes, ma'am.
I
Are we good? Are we?
Are there any other lines or
What else?
questions or?
Majorly, did you have anything on that?
One of the things I need to ask on there regarding the IT, we had asked that any IT's invoice be paid for the security ASAP so they could get started.
Okay.
And my understanding is it has not been paid, so we're still,
Yeah, I think I got the email on Friday, I just haven't I was working
Oh,
on
okay.
this for you guys, yeah, so I got the invoices, I'll probably have to do a check run for you guys this week, probably.
okay. We're not gonna pay him for the
Labor.
IT installation part, the one, it was 4,900
Yeah,
something.
Julie scanned me an invoice with your markup of like how much to pay or which part to pay, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it won't be the full invoice, it'll be per your notes on the invoices.
However, those are my notes.
Oh.
My notes, so, the only thing is the change between then and now, we're just paying for like the hardware, we're not paying for his labor right now.
Okay.
But we have to add the tax in.
Why, what happened with the tax? That's
We're not tax exempt.
Natalie, can you speak to that?
So you guys are a government entity, I pulled the tax exempt form and sent it to Irene. Honestly, I haven't had any other Arizona districts try and claim tax exempt on invoices. I have some experience with districts in other states, but looking at the Arizona form, there was a 30-page list of codes. I could not find a code that applied to you guys. The only other thought is, I don't know if Bill's team has seen anyone successfully get tax exempt status, but reviewing.
Yeah, now that I can jump in there, so we have not seen that before. We haven't looked at the issue too deeply, but our understanding is that the district may be exempt from property tax, but not TPT tax. Again, that's sort of
I think
the customer response.
Jerry initially, but he's worked in other districts, but I think he originally indicated that we should be, so if we're not, then we're not, it's good to know. Okay.
Yeah, I sent it to, I went through the 30-page list, I couldn't find anything that, a code that, because it asks for a very specific code that exempts you from sales tax in Arizona, and I didn't see any code that applied to you guys.
I'll follow up with
And
Jerry on that.
Jerry may be correct. You guys are not a public service corporation. If you guys were, maybe you would be tax exempt because you would be an Arizona nonprofit corporation, but you guys are not that. You're a political subdivision. You're a special tax
Okay.
district.
There's always a gray line.
And
So we will have to pay, would you
Yeah.
mind adding
Yeah.
taxes on those two, there's two invoices.
so the savings
Or three
club,
invoices, I'm
whatever
sorry.
it was, is not happening.
I'm sorry?
The savings club or whatever you mentioned at the last meeting, Costco or whatever for office.
All it means is that we'll pay sales tax at
Yeah.
Staples, we'll pay sales tax
Right,
everywhere.
right, so that's not happening, okay. And can we like address, I guess this is really the top item here and highest amount, operations, water. But that's where we were also hoping to save some money.
Yeah.
Operations,
Yeah,
field
so
operations.
that number was based off of the flat fee you guys were paying wet.
Right.
So I left that in, months ago, not knowing you guys were looking at a change. I don't know if you guys have any inclination of what you might find outside of wet, but otherwise, if you think wet is on the high end, kind of I would leave it. So
We've been, yeah, that's kind of been suggested.
hopefully you come in under budget, but unless you guys have any insight on where you think that number's gonna go.
We don't have a crystal ball either, we don't have that half that I would love to have.
Right, but I mean, just so, you just basically just dropped it a little bit, basically from existing.
Yeah, the prior
Just a little.
year, that 218, because they had a flat rate 17,000 a month or so, so that's that 218,000 number. That 226 from last year,
Yeah,
they must have just built in a little buffer, a little extra, so I left it with the flat fee.
right.
Well, we don't know what we don't know who our next contractor
Right.
is and what that
Right.
fee is gonna be, so
Right.
this likely, because we're looking to have a lesser fee, this likely will be somewhere where we could pull money from if we need to for a different
Hopefully you
category.
come in under,
A rainy day fund or something, right?
hopefully you'll come in under there. Okay.
Right, so that's just reasonable, right, to just kind of leave it there.
Yeah, I especially if you guys don't know you're looking at one provider or have any idea of what that contract looks like, I would.
It's all in the works
Yeah.
right now, it's
Yeah.
all kind of, we're hoping for the best.
Okay, so any other categories? I'm gonna make a motion that we're good.
Those are the big ones,
Okay.
those are all the big ones there, so.
So I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the proposed budget that Natalie has prepared for us with the changes that we've made here in this meeting, subject to,
And rather than accept, I'd say we tentatively approve.
Right, because this.
okay. I'm gonna make a motion that we tentatively approve the budget that Natalie has prepared for us with the changes that we've made here in this meeting today.
I'd like to second that.
And Sean has seconded that motion, so all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously.
Okay, so now we need the specific direction, Devin.
Yeah, and so nothing really needed at the meeting here from you guys. If you'd like, you can, on the record, in the minutes, instruct us to, proceed as required by statute with public notice, or, again, we can have that conversation after the fact. But since we're here, you might as well authorize us to proceed.
Okay, so we're going to authorize this to proceed. Do we have, do public notice? Devin, ask if anyone has any questions. Is that it?
Okay.
Yeah, so again, motion has been made. Has there been a second?
To what?
Oh, okay, so.
To authorize them to proceed
Move
with.
forward.
Yes, it has been.
You made the motion, I'll
Then,
second
there's
it.
no further discussion, we would vote.
Okay,
So we need to vote on authorizing them to proceed. Devin.
okay. All in favor of authorizing Devin, legal counsel, to proceed with the next steps in the process? Say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously with 5.
And then for my,
We will proceed.
perfect. Yeah, and from my side, I'll make the adjustments in the budget column and then I'll send this out. And then you guys, I don't think I have all of the board. If I send it to you, are you able to forward to the board? So I'll get this updated so that you can see what the bottom line looks like after the amendments. I'll get that to Irene, and she can forward that out to the board. That way you guys are ready for your public hearing. Just for my reference, I don't know if you guys need me at the budget hearing since we've gone through the lines.
Wouldn't think so.
And
We should do it.
okay, yeah, just an effort to save you guys time and travel and all that. But I'll get this ready and I'll send it to you guys with plenty of time. That way you can.
Right.
be
And thanks for
familiar with it.
clarifying that what we just approved is like to put out notice to have a public budget hearing,
Yes,
right?
That-
Like we should have,
Yes.
we didn't.
No, Tom, we're not going to go into that, but that's an incorrect statement.
We're there,
Devin?
we're there. We made it.
Devin, would you like to comment on that incorrect statement for the record, please?
Yeah, I couldn't make out exactly what was said. Tom, could you repeat that for me?
It
Well,
was,
just, I was just thanking Natalie for making clear that we're going to have a public budget hearing like we should have, but we didn't. And now we are. That's
Yes,
right.
you were going to have a public hearing on the budget. I think everybody's aware that this is typically done earlier in the year. It was not.
Much of it.
And so you're now doing that
Thank you.
public hearing as required by statute. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
but it was not done due to anything negligent on the board, which is being insinuated. I just want to make that clear, that it was not anything, that this was the best time to actually do the budget. It was filed, and we have been in compliance with everything budgetary.
Yes, certainly nobody intentionally, didn't want to do it or wanted to do things behind closed doors. There was nothing like that.
Exactly, and I want to make that clear because those are inferences that are being made that I want to stop. Okay, we have any questions from the public?
I'd like to speak to you after the meeting, thank you.
I'm sorry, I'm busy. I'm finishing a degree. I don't have time to really have a lot of conversation. Is there a reason you can't have it here with public call?
You're not gonna talk to me, I'm not gonna talk to you.
Okay. All right, do you have anything, Cindy?
I'm kind of,
No?
I'm just kind of curious, and you probably can't answer this either, but I'm curious what happened with the relationship with WED. And,
That's not on the agenda, and so that is not something we can discuss. But Jerry is writing a statement on that. So once he has that done, he will make it known, and then something will also be posted on the website.
meanwhile, though, we do have the water system is being taken care of. We don't have to worry about it.
Everything's fine. Everything's going to be fine, but we can't go into a discussion
That's
about
fine.
the change
Sure,
with
that's what I
West.
want to know.
Everything is under control, and it's all good, and people will be pleasantly surprised about the changes that are coming.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
All right, so if we don't have anything else, we don't have to vote to adjourn. So it is 14:54, and we are going to adjourn this special budget meeting. Thanks, everybody. Okay, Devin, we're good?
Bye, Sean.
Bye, Sean. All right, thank you. Bye.
Do you know the gentleman's last name?
I didn't catch his last name.
Devon?
No, Dave.
I don't know his last name, I can't remember.
Were these printed reports, did you need these here for me if I needed them?
I'm sorry, what?
The printed reports that were here, were they for me if I needed them?
I just brought them in case other people need, I can throw them away.
Okay, otherwise I can take them and run them as well, but.
Oh, the